Welcome to the 7-Figure Blueprint, where we share real-life stories of contractors just like you and dive deep into the steps they took to grow their business so you can too. My name is Garrett Bake. I've worked with hundreds of contractors, helping them scale their business to 7 figures and beyond. All right, welcome back to the 7-Figure Blueprint. Today we have another really cool guest with us here. His name is Jim Sanders, and he owns Nest Tiny Homes. Really cool name, really cool business model. So Jim has been in business for 3 years, and this year they'll end up right around $5.7 million in revenue. So you're probably asking yourself, how does a company 3 years in business generate $5.7 million in revenue? Well, we're going to find out. Jim, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Let's dive into it.
Appreciate you coming down to the office here and chatting a little bit. So I always like to start at the beginning, right? Because not everybody ends up where they're at in a very, like I call, linear path, right? It's never a straight line, right? So how was it that you got into construction?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, construction was kind of the easy button, right? My grandpa was a builder. My dad was a builder. So that's always kind of what I was planning on going to do. I actually went to go to school for architecture. So graduated with a bachelor's of science in architecture. And then I figured out that I could do a lot better financially in construction. Mm-hmm. And so I just stayed doing that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you got your degree, but you were probably working when you were in your diapers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, from the time I was probably, 10, 11, 12 years old, my dad had me on his job sites sweeping up after the trades. And when I came out to Utah, I worked for Big D as a concrete carpenter. So that's kind of how I put myself through school. And yeah, I've been around it my whole life.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you graduate with a degree in architecture.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that like from that to saying, hey, you know what? Like, I'm going to start my own business.
Yeah. So up until I started interviewing with architecture firms, I thought I was going to go do that. But like, I loved Big D. I loved the people there. I loved just the whole process of building these big projects that I was on. And I thought, well, because I went and studied this, I should probably go do it. And then I'm interviewing and I'm like, I don't even want to do this. And I'm actually making more money as a concrete carpenter. But now that I've graduated school, I have all these other opportunities too. So let's just stay in construction. That's what I did.
You decided to stay in construction, but was it you just decided to start Nest, or were you in construction a little bit, kind of poking around and then decided to go for it?
Yeah. So I was a general foreman out at the airport, helped do that project. I was out there for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And then Big D put me on a couple of other multifamily projects in Salt Lake as a superintendent. And then I got a job as a project manager with Parkway Construction. And that's really where my career was expedited a little bit. That's where I learned the business side of construction. Everything from how to interact with a client, how to help close a big contract, a big deal, how to do estimating, how to qualify subcontractors, put a budget together, put a schedule together. And I really liked that. So
nice.
Yeah.
And how long were you with Parkway?
I want to say I was with Parkway for about 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So my field experience, I think, was invaluable, right? Like, I'm not really out in the field a lot now, but if anything, it helped me gain the respect of the guys out in the field being in the office. So
let me ask you, and I know this is a personal opinion, important to have more office experience or field experience when you get started?
That is a very tough question. I think it would depend. I could answer that if you told me where you want to be in 5 years, right? Because there's a lot of guys that don't have office experience, and they're happy with where they're at. And then I've seen other guys that have very little field experience but more project management experience do a little bit better, but their goals are different too.
Yeah.
So I would say for me, like if you're gonna do what I did, you need to know enough to be dangerous. You need to know enough to hire the right people, but you don't necessarily need to know all the means and methods on, how a firewall assembly is put together. But you need to know about it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. So basically what you're saying, if you want to scale your company, you got to know.
It's important to have PM experience.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're at Parkway for a couple of years, and then what happens? You get the itch. What happens?
No, not at all. Not at all. So I'm in residential construction, right? I thought that I was going to stay in commercial working for a big company and then eventually go off on my own and try my hand at that. But I heard about a company called Anchored Tiny Homes that was based out of Sacramento. They were starting to sell tiny home builder franchises. And I thought, well, why don't I just buy a franchise here for Salt Lake, and then I can run that on the side. So I did. It went great for the first year and a half, and it went so well that I actually ended up quitting my job because we were busy enough. I had to hire a couple guys to help me out, and so that's kind of how I got into the niche of tiny home building or building ADUs. But after, I believe it was 3 or 4 weeks after I quit my nice salary, awesome PM job, Anchored Tiny Homes goes belly up, and I'm left with what was a franchise, a new office, and 3 employees at the time. We had to yep.
So the floor came crashing down, and I'm glad you transitioned into that, 'cause that's where I was going. So new business owner, right? You're like, I love this. This is awesome. This is great. We're going to be super successful. And then the franchise is like, hey, we're closing doors. Peace out. Good luck. And you're like, oh shoot, what am I going to do now? Mm-hmm. So what was that like?
It was the scariest thing I've ever gone through. Yeah, it was terrifying. I remember just looking at my wife after we had lost access to our email because our franchisor didn't pay their IT bill. So we lost all of our files, couldn't email people. It was really scary. So at that point, I was so stressed out, I wasn't really stressed anymore because in my head, it had already all ended. And so we just said, well, let's try and put the pieces back together here and let's work really hard and get it done. Worst case scenario, we'll just go back to work for Parkway. But we ended up doing it. So we took the tail end of 2024 to basically rebuild the whole front end of our business. So new marketing company, a new logo, a new DBA. We had to rebuild that whole front end again. So,
and what was that process like, right? I think every contractor gets to a point where it's sink or swim. Mm-hmm. You got to figure it out one way or another. The company that I was talking to earlier, it was 2007, 2008. Hey, what are you going to do? Are you going to close up shop? Going to go get a job? Or are you going to roll up your sleeves and get to work? What made you guys decide, with the odds not stacked in your favor, to say, let's double down. We got this. Let's do this.
I think for a lot of guys that's a muscle memory, right? I mean, the stuff that would stress me out and worry me 5 years ago, that's just like a daily occurrence now. So I think as you get more and more wins under your belt, your confidence and your ability to get through tough issues like that, you just get better at it, right? So I had never had anything like that happen to me, but I think I had enough wins or enough grit, whatever you want to call it, to have the confidence to say, okay, let's do this. We don't know exactly how we're going to get there, but we've figured out all this other stuff. We could probably figure out this.
Yeah. So you had some resources, we'll call it, from the franchise, maybe some processes and kind of pieces, parts.
We had a blueprint.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had a blueprint. Did you believe in the blueprint when you first started?
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't, but I saw how successful this franchisor was, or the appearance of success, right? Come to find out, I don't think that they were really managing the construction side well. But what they did do very well was their social media presence, SEO, brand awareness, sales, marketing. Like they were killing it on that front.
Front end.
Yeah.
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 How long did it take you before you felt confident that you were going to actually make it?
For 4 or 5 months, I knew that it was going to pick back up. Yeah. Because we rebuilt everything. And then I saw it start to work. And we actually took what Anchor did. And at the time, as we were operating under that franchise system, we didn't really have the ability to make decisions and make changes that were, important for our market. But now we did. So, yeah.
How important, from your perspective, is the ability to market when you're in the contracting space?
If you want to grow, you have to do it. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that are going to be able to be, sometimes successful just by word of mouth or referrals. But if you want to scale your company, you have to have a system in place for sales and marketing.
For those of you in the back, you might want to listen to that again.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? And you come from a construction background, but like you came from successful businesses.
Yeah.
Right. And you talk about success leaves clues. And what a lot of contractors think is that like, hey, if I put a sign on the side of my truck or if I have a business card that I'm handing out, like I'm going to be successful. Right. And the truth is that hard numbers, 4% of contractors ever hit 7 figures. 4%, right? And the reason is exactly what you just said, is that they still think of themselves as a craftsman. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? If you want what I call a lifestyle business, it pays your bills, right? It puts food on the table. You get to go on a vacation once a year. Great, right?
Yeah.
But in order to get to 7 figures, you have to start treating it differently, right? Which is exactly what you're talking about doing. So talk about the mindset behind that, right? Like, what does it actually take to build a 7-figure business versus a lifestyle business? It could have been just you and your wife and you hire a couple subs and off you go, but you decided to double down on it. Like,
Yeah.
What does it take?
So I want to go back to something you said about being a good craftsman, right? And whether your craft is electrical, pipe fitting, landscaping, whatever it is, I don't want to say that it doesn't matter that you're good at that, but that's, in my mind, that's basically just the barrier of entry, right? Like, well, of course you have to be a good electrician if you want to own an electrical company. Of course you need to be a good carpenter if you want to own a framing company. All the guys that you're going to be competing with are also good at their trade. And so what's going to set you apart, in my opinion, right, is being a good business owner. And I mean, we could talk about sales and marketing, we could talk about operations, accounting and all the financial stuff, but you have to focus, once you get the trade part figured out, you have to focus on streamlining your business, creating SOPs, putting controls into place, putting systems in place that other people can follow as you grow. And yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to talk about whatever facet of that you'd like me to, but yeah, that's
that's kind of the key, right? And I really want to focus on this. Like, if you're watching or listening right now, like, pay attention to what we're going to talk about now. Okay, I say it multiple times, but people are probably tired of me talking about it, so you're going to talk about it. In order to build something at scale, you have to have a process behind it, right? And again, you talked about all the areas already. But if you can't duplicate it, you can't scale it, right? And that's what it comes down to. So you spent how much of your time starting out making sure that your marketing system was in place, making sure that your operation systems, your financial systems, like how long did it take to get at least a foundational structure for these processes in place?
It varied, right? I mean, I think as soon as we get something down, like as soon as we know how to do something, me as the owner, and now that we have a lot more employees on staff, I'm encouraging them to write it down and let's detail out this process, list it out, so that way we can all follow it. So one of the things on the operations side that I created, it's kind of corny, but we call it the Road to Success checklist. So it's a roadmap that starts right after somebody signs a contract, and it breaks that project life cycle from every step that we need to take until we hand the keys over to the client. So, okay, we got our engineering done. What's the next step? Well, we have to submit for permits, and this is how you do that. You log into this portal, submit all your paperwork, and then we go from there. Okay, we got a permit now. Well, now we have to file a pre-lien, send the schedule to the owner. Like, it's all listed out, and everybody's on the same page. Whenever we make mistakes or need to improve on something, we put it into that checklist. So, I mean, it probably took me a week to create that, but we're still improving it to this day. Like last week we sat down and we added like 5 other things to the checklist. So I don't know if you ever want to say, okay, we're done with this process. We got it refined and it's perfect now, because then you're just going to go stagnant. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a living, breathing thing. As you
Yeah.
grow, it grows as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back and talk about sales and marketing, right? Because I can't tell you how many conversations I have with contractors that I'm like, what do you need help with? What are you struggling with? And they're like, I need more leads, right? And I'm just like, no, you don't need more leads. You need to learn how to market, right? Now, you didn't come with a marketing skill set. You worked commercial construction, project management, foreman. Like you were on the back side of things, right?
Knew nothing about it.
Now you come to the front side. You're like, all right, well, this is my baby. What am I going to do now? What would you say from your perspective, not just what you went through, but your advice for guys when it comes to sales and marketing? Like, what should the focus really be on?
So I would say, first off, whatever kind of business you have, like what fits my business might not fit yours. So I would say you have to figure out who your client base is and then curate a way to reach out to those people. So like, let's take Parkway Construction. They're a wildly successful company. And obviously they're good at sales and marketing because they're wildly successful. But if I plugged Parkway Construction into our sales and marketing model, it would be a total waste of money, right? So find out how to reach your client base. And I would say that you're going to need to find people, vendors, and relationships with other guys in that space. Find good people, let them figure out how to take care of you, how to market and help you out with that process, and then just constantly improve it. But you're not going to be able to just find a marketing company or a sales company, pay them $5,000, and then you're off to the races. Like, it's an investment, and it's going to take a minute to do that properly.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you what you're saying is you're going to have to know what you're doing before you ever try and get somebody else to do it.
To some extent, yeah.
'Cause
I think you need to know the basics.
Yeah, you have to. And I love that you said that, because a lot of marketing companies, like, they're like, oh, you want leads? Well, I'll send you leads. And you're like, no, I actually don't want leads. Like, I want qualified leads. Like, I want people who are interested in actually buying, not somebody who's like 2 a.m. and they're like, oh, I'll fill that thing out because whatever, right? You have to know your market. And I think this is interesting that you bring this up, right? Is because you mentioned Parkway, right? Parkway has a different business model. And so they have a different audience that they're trying to reach. So their marketing approach is going to be different than yours, right? Commercial and residential, by the way, commercial and residential, super quick. Commercial, you're not going to be online much. Like, it's relationship based. So go build some relationships.
Yeah.
Residential.
Don't run Instagram ads if you own a commercial construction company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Residential, you have options there, but definitely you want to be online, right? And it could be through just social media posts. It could be through, networking groups or Facebook groups or ads, SEO, that kind of stuff. So let's go again back to marketing. You didn't come in with a marketing degree. You had a degree in architecture. right? And you worked in the commercial space, and now you're owning the business, and now you understand, okay, I need to market to these people, but I don't understand what marketing is, right? Like, did you take a crash course? Like, how did you learn how to market to the right people?
Well, we hired a marketing company. So they manage our CRM. They create all of the media for our ads. They have a Google ad buying platform that they use. So we use, they're called Mayhem Digital Media. We use them. But we had to collaborate with them for a few months to fine tune all the things that they were doing for us. Yeah.
Makes sense. And I think it's key what you said there is you're not hiring somebody and then saying, here's $5,000, like go spend it wisely. You're like, here's $5,000, let's work together and figure out how to best use this so that we can get a return on this investment.
Yeah. In marketing, it's not an exact science, right? Like there are so many little things that happen in the world or online on a day-to-day basis that could change how effective or ineffective your ads are. Right. So once we figure it out, that certain ad or that certain cadence in which we're running the ad, it might work well for 3 months, but then tariffs hit or something funky goes on with the SEO, and then we're back to our third step and retweaking everything again. So yeah, it's a lot more complicated than I think I even fully understand.
What would you say to a guy or a company that's like starting out and figuring out this whole paid ad platform? Like, what should be the 2 or 3 things, or maybe it's one thing that they should be focusing on that you believe by doing that, they'll succeed?
Find a good marketing company and then view that relationship as an investment, not a transaction, and let them take the time that they need to do to get the leads and get the work that you need to be successful. It's not going to happen overnight. It's probably not even going to happen in, 1 or 2 months. It's going to take, 3, 4, 5 months to get that figured out.
So what you're saying is it's just like everything else in life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's going to take work and it's going to take time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the people on social media, like my Instagram algorithm, it's all about tiny home developments and ADU builders. And now I'm starting to get ads for companies that want to do marketing for me, right? It's a lot of those guys aren't going to take care of you like they're telling you they will on Instagram. So be very selective and be very careful with who you pick to run those ads for you and do marketing.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so you start off, you figure out marketing, you got the machine rolling, you got the back end, right? Like, at what point do you say, I think we need to double down on this thing to grow? Because I think a lot of contractors hesitate because they're afraid that they're going to fail. Like, I haven't seen that in you, and you just kind of keep doubling down and pushing forward. In fact, you're in multiple markets now. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
Why do I keep doubling down? Why do I keep wanting to grow?
Why do you think it's important to have that mentality when it comes to being a business owner, not settling versus like doubling down?
Yeah. I like it. Yeah. To me, of course I have my family that I love. I have a lot of relationships that are important to me, but when I'm on my deathbed, I want to say that I gave it my all, right? Like I truly love what I do. And it's not necessarily the building aspect of it. Like, I think construction's awesome. What I love even more is the business part of it, right? And that's just what gets me excited. That's when I'm all grown up, when I grow up, I want to be the owner of a big construction company,
That's awesome. I love it. Okay. How big is your team now?
So we have, including me, 12 people on the team.
So you got 12 people on your team. I've been to your office, full transparency. So you got 12 people on the team. Mm-hmm. how important do you think culture is in growing a team?
It's paramount. Yeah. Because if your people aren't happy, then they're not gonna perform well, and that's a really hard thing to do. I think a lot of business owners don't think about and don't talk about, but you'll go for 3-4 months and everybody's just grinding, and then you realize, oh shoot, we haven't taken the guys out to lunch, or we need to do a company trip. Let's go to Top Golf, or let's just check in with everybody to see how they're doing. It's super important, and it's something that I'm learning how to do now. For the first little bit, it was just me and 2 other guys, and our one-on-ones or company retreats were just us, shooting the shit in the truck and then going out to lunch on a Friday. But we have to be a lot more purposeful in, including everyone, making sure that everyone feels heard, making sure that everybody feels validated in what they're doing. We try and review everybody's goals with each other, have set one-on-ones now. So it's culture's everything, man. Because if your people aren't happy, they're gonna underperform, and then your business is gonna underperform, and pretty soon you won't be in business.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So looking back, I mean, obviously you're on growth trajectory now, but looking back to where you started, like what you know now versus what you knew then, what would your advice be to you starting off?
I would say that it's important to act or conduct your business in a way that would work when you're twice as big, right? So the way that we were doing our accounting a year ago, right? Like it's working now, just barely. But if we were to be doing our accounting the way we were doing it a year ago when we're at 15 million, that would be really, really bad, right? So when you have time to implement those processes and systems, and it doesn't need to be perfect, right? But when you're small and there isn't as much on the line, focus on setting yourself up for when you're a bigger company, when you've hit that growth. Because when you're there, when you're at 15, 20 million, or for me, 5 to 6, you're going to have a whole new set of issues and challenges that you need to overcome. And it sucks to have to go back and fix stuff.
So you're saying duct tape and super glue are not your best option?
That is correct. Yeah.
So I'll kind of bring it all together, right? Like, listen, when it comes to the construction space, like what's the most important part of building? It's the foundation, right? It's always the foundation, and you can't go up if you don't have a solid foundation. Mm-hmm. It's going to fall apart. And so there are foundational pieces of running a business, right? I think first and foremost is an understanding of clarity around, hey, where are we taking this thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we doing? And for you guys, it was ADUs, it was tiny homes. The second thing is like, okay, so we need attention, we need traffic, we need to learn and understand how to market, which for some of you, like, don't be like, oh man, I got to go find $5,000 to go invest in a marketing company. You don't, but you do need to understand what marketing is and how to do it specifically for you. You will get to the point where you are going to have to leverage some type of paid or partnership marketing. And I think the third and the most important part is do it the same every single time, whatever the thing is. If it's your marketing, if it's, you talk about your road to success.
Road to success, yeah.
You talk about, your hiring process. You talk about your accounting, right? Everything needs to be done the same every single time. That's how you scale that company. So don't make the mistake that he almost made, which is have to go backwards and fix something because it wasn't set up right? Take the little bit of extra time and set it up right. Listen, we all love to go out and have a good time and watch sports and family and all this other stuff. But as the business owner, you got to put that hat on and be like, hey, I got to take a little extra time this week and set up this process. Or I got to take a little extra time and make sure I hire the right person. I got to take a little extra time and make sure this job gets done. You signed up for it, right? So suck it up.
Yeah. And you're actually saving a lot of time in the future,
so
right? Like when we hired our first PM, it was such a breath of fresh air to just give him a process like, Mike, this is what you do. Come ask me questions when you get stuck, but if you're ever stuck, refer to this first and then we can talk. I don't I probably couldn't even calculate how much time that has saved me. And, we're constantly improving it, but it only took me a few hours to put together. So you're saving time in the long run.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So as we kind of wrap this thing up, I want to ask the question we always ask everyone. You're starting over again. Okay. You don't have the employees. You don't have the trucks. You don't have the jobs. You have you, and you have the knowledge that you've acquired over these years. Okay. You have $1,000. What are you doing with that $1,000?
Go to Wendover.
For those of you who don't know what Wendover is, it's literally like a mini Vegas. So it's out in the middle of nowhere. You can go gamble.
No, I could probably put something together with $1,000. So I'm starting from scratch.
Start from scratch. It's you and all the lessons you've learned.
Okay. So I'd go find a cheap laptop. I'd file all of my state business paperwork that I need to. And then I would probably spend that money. I'm still a paper contractor, right? I don't need tools.
No.
Okay. I'd go get a logo, find a cool name, and get my business online in some form or fashion.
I like it.
Yeah. And that'd probably eat up what, $750 or something like that.
And then you got $250 to go.
Yeah.
Market.
And then I'd probably post a couple ads, whether that's on KSL or Facebook or whatever. I'd get my name out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just build on that. Keep improving it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So listen, regardless of where you're starting in business, understand everybody starts a little different, but everybody's going to have the same issues, which means they also get to have the same opportunities, right? So if you want to build a multi-7 or 8-figure business, understand success leaves clues. Jim, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being here. All right, but you guys know what time it is. It's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1. Off you go.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you're a contractor doing at least $500K in revenue and still stuck wearing every hat, if your team exists, but your systems don't, if cash shows up, but clarity doesn't, and you don't know what to do next, go to billprosystem.com and book your free business breakdown. We'll show you why you're stuck and, more importantly, how you can break free. So go to billprosystem.com and schedule your free business breakdown today.